What's up, you guys? This video is going to be a little bit different than the ones I normally put out on this channel. In this video, I want to share with you guys my experience teaching my first barber class in Florida. I was able to do it a couple times in New Jersey, but this is the first time I'm doing it in the state of Florida. So it's an education experience for me and an education experience for the students. So the way it all came together was this teacher at a high school, she has her cosmetology license. She's been doing hair for like 30 years or something like that. And she wanted to start a barber program in the high school for the kids. Now, the cool part about that is that, you know, unlike the rest of us who go to barber school or, you know, cosmetology school or whatever, and we have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in order to get our license, these kids pay like 60 bucks and they graduate high school with their barber license. So, I mean, man, like, what an opportunity. If you have an opportunity like that, I would implore you to take advantage of it. But there was a high school in my hometown that had something similar. And my mom told me when I was in 8th grade, she was like, David, you should go get your barber's license. You'll never be able to work a 9-to-5 for somebody else. You might as well just go get your license and be your own boss type of thing. And I'm like, Mom, barbers don't make money. Like, I don't want to be a barber, whatever. And now we know how stupid that is. But so these kids have an amazing opportunity, and shout out to their teacher too. Her name is Rebecca Doherty. Shout out to her for actually reaching out to barbers in the area, trying to get them to come to the class. She could just be, you know, like just sending these kids through and not really caring about their education, but she's actually going out of her way to find other barbers to come and teach the class and inspire the class and help the class and stuff like that. So shout out to her. But yeah, she saw my work on Instagram and my YouTube channel, and she reached out to me, and she basically gave me like free reign. She told me I could talk to them about whatever I wanted, pretty much, like, you know, fading, hair cutting, being in the shop, you know, business, all types of stuff. She told me, she was like, you got free reign. So I thought that was really cool of her. What you're seeing right here is actually footage of me teaching the class. Unfortunately, I had these mics and I didn't get any of the audio. So here's a tip. If you have a DJI mic like this one, right? When this green light is blinking, that means you're not gonna get any sound. It might be recording, but it's not paired up to the receiver that's attached to the phone. So you're not gonna get any sound if the light is blinking. If the light is solid, you're good. I didn't know that, so I have no audio to give you guys. But anyway, so the class was really cool. The students, I mean, they were young, dude. They were like 15, 16-year-old kids, you know what I mean? So they don't really know. It's not like you're teaching a class at a barber school. Some of these kids were probably just there because it was an elective and they're like, shoot, I'll take barber class or whatever like that. It's different when you go to a barber school and you got people who are out of high school. They're, you know, sometimes even like grown people with families and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, I want to be a barber. It's two different types of audiences. So as I was preparing for the class, I'm thinking, okay, I want to, you know, show them this. I want to break down, like, you know, draw like a model of like a head on the board and break down like the angles of the, you know, the hair and how I want to place my fade and all this other stuff, right? But then when she explained how the class worked to me, I realized that kind of wouldn't be appropriate for the class. So there were two classes. She had her Barber 1 students, which are students who just started the class and they haven't, you know, been able to go out on the floor and cut any hair yet. They're really just in the books right now. And then the Barber 2 class has actually been able to work on some clients. People come into the school, get their haircut and stuff like that. So one is going to be a little bit more advanced than the others, but even still, they're not that far along in their education journey. Some of them were cutting and they were pretty good. They showed me pictures and stuff on their Instagram, but you know, I didn't want to go too in depth with the class because it might just go over their head. So a lot of the class was me answering questions of, you know, why did you want to become a barber? How much do you make as a barber? How much can you make as a barber? You know, just stuff like that, like really basic questions. And each class was an hour long. And I promise you, if you are thinking about teaching a class, an hour is not enough. I mean, for that situation, it was cool. But if you're thinking about doing like your own class or holding, you know, classes at a shop or maybe going to like a school or something like that, like an hour it goes by quick. You know what I mean? So make sure you're prepared and you're ready to move. You know what I mean? Because if you stay on one topic too long, it kind of you'll lose all your time. And I was in the middle of cutting hair too. So one of the students was actually my client, which was pretty cool. But another one of the students wanted his hair cut. So all he got, you know how the young kids are nowadays, they got long hair all over the place and then just give me a low taper here and a low taper in the back. So that was cool. But the thing was, between talking to the students, answering questions, and doing the taper, in the first class, I only got this side and this side done, and I lined it up and that was it. So the second class, the kid was, he was gracious enough to actually stay during his lunch period. He didn't go to lunch, he stayed in the class and let me finish the back taper while I taught the second class. So that was pretty cool. But I think the biggest thing that I got from the class is that, like, people need to be inspired, bro. Some people don't think that, you know, some people don't even know what the possibilities are. You know, like I started out the class asking the students, you know, how much do you think you can make as a barber? And they raised their hand and they said, you know, maybe like 40K, oh, like 60K, oh, maybe like 75K. And somebody was like, I think I can make 100,000. And I'm like, yo, like, you can make way more than that if you really put your mind to it, if you really put your foot on the gas, and if you really apply some of the things that I'm gonna teach you guys today. And my main thing, the main focus of the class that I wanted to teach them was that, you know, hour-long, hour and a half, 2 hour long haircuts are not sufficient when you're trying to build a business. You know, my goal was to stress to them the importance of building efficiencies in your haircutting process so that you can get every haircut down to in between 30 and 45 minutes. If you can do that, then you can work on building your client. I mean, you should be always trying to build your clientele, but if you can get your cuts down to 30 and 45 minutes, then you can really start getting people in the door and making a lot of money. Because if it's an 8 hour day and I'm cutting, you know, it takes me 2 hours to cut somebody's hair because I haven't built up the efficiencies in my business, I'm cutting 4 people that day, you know? But if it's an 8 hour day and everybody's 30 minutes, I'm cutting 16 people that day. Now, if the haircuts are $25 and I only cut 4 people that day, I made $100. But if the haircuts are $25 and I cut 16 people that day, I made $400? Something like that. I made over $400. So, close to 5 if you're counting tips and stuff like that. So I definitely wanted to stress to them the importance of, you know, like I said, building those efficiencies and getting your time down to in between 30 and 45 minutes. If you can do that, that's a scalable model. You know what I'm saying? Because most people, when they come into the barbershop, they don't want an hour-long haircut. Even though people like the atmosphere, they like the vibe, they like to chop it up, talk sports, talk whatever, right? Nobody wants to sit in the barbershop for that long. A lot of my clients come in on their lunch break. So think about it like this. This is the example I gave to them. A client has an hour-long lunch break. It takes them 15 minutes to get from their job to the barbershop. That's a 15-minute drive there and a 15-minute drive back. How much time do you have now to do their haircut? You have 30 minutes. You don't have an hour. And if you are the reason that that client is late to get back to work and then they get reprimanded or something like that, they will never come back to you. So you have to, build that up and work on being as efficient as possible. I'm not talking about rushing. I'm not talking about sacrificing quality, but I'm talking about being efficient, being focused. What is the most efficient way, the quickest way to do X, Y, Z and make it come out as nice as possible. So we talked a lot about that. One of the students in there, a female, she's actually really passionate about cutting. She's cutting at the house and stuff like that, and a lot of her work was pretty good. She showed me on Instagram. A lot of her work was really great. So I think she's got a bright future ahead of her. And it was just really cool to get into a place where I could share that knowledge with other people who are a lot earlier in the process than I am. I mean, I still have a long way to go. Like, I still need to be taking in as much information as possible, but the information I do have, I think it's cool to be able to give that to somebody who's not as far along on the journey, So, but it was a really good class. I enjoyed it. I hope the teacher invites me back. And it really inspired me to man, I want to hit up some of these barber schools and ask them if I could teach a class. Or I'm even thinking about hosting a class at the barbershop, maybe after hours, later on a Sunday or something like that, hosting a class free, and then for people who are a little bit further along on their journey, so we can really kind of get in depth, so it's just, those are my thoughts on the class. Like I said, I had a really good time. The students were great. They were asking questions. We were cracking jokes. It was funny. They were talking up this one kid. They were saying, oh, he got his last haircut. He got messed up. Can you bring him back? And the kid who was sitting next to him snatched his do-rag off, and it looked so rough, and everybody started cracking up. So it was a really good class, and I can't wait to hopefully be back. Thank you, Mrs. Doherty, for inviting me out, and I will hope to see you guys next time. If you guys like this video, hit subscribe, like, share, hit the bell notification. I got new tutorials coming. I just dropped a really cool in-depth tutorial on the channel about how to create flow on the side, especially when you're doing that brushback pompadour look. So check that out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.